One of the prominent issues players face when trying to achieve a Minecraft Forever world is figuring out what builds will make worthy additions and further immerse yourself in that one singular world. What many players don't realize is that in order to immerse yourself in your Forever world, it's incredibly important that you make the world feel lived in. Most players make a ton of cool builds that on their own look really great, but they can end up feeling like shells, as when you walk through the area, it just feels empty and missing any sense of livelihood. By making an effort to make your Forever world feel more alive, you'll make it not only more dense with detail, but you'll turn it from a collection of impressive builds to a space that you can actually enjoy spending time in. So how exactly do you make your Forever world feel more alive? Well, there's four main components I believe affect how lived in a world can feel. These include movement, mobs, detailing, and the builds themselves. Before I actually go into these, I want to clarify that I myself haven't even gotten to properly utilize all the tips I'm going to mention, as unfortunately life has me pretty busy, but everything I'm going to mention are methods I plan on implementing into my own builds and world in the near future. With that out of the way, let's break down what each of these variables does for the liveliness of your world and how you can implement them into your own world. First up, we have movement, which I would consider the simplest to implement into your world. Movement means exactly what it sounds like, literally just adding movement to your world. This may sound really obvious, but it's actually pretty important. Most players' Forever worlds are single player, which means when they walk around their world and look at the villages and builds they've made, it can feel pretty stagnant and flat, as everything remains stationary. Adding some movement will make it feel like your builds and villages are actually part of a bigger world, as they react to the environment around them rather than just being display pieces. Adding movement to your world is super simple as well, and there's a ton of ways to do it. One way to add movement to your world is through the use of liquid, specifically flowing liquid. Whether it's through the use of water or lava to make builds such as fountains or a man-made waterfall, this will do things like add visual movement that helps combat builds feeling too stagnant. You could also use water with magma blocks to create things like ponds with bubbles in, which brings me to another great way to integrate movement into your world, and it's by using blocks that emit any form of particles. Some prominent examples of blocks that emit particles are crying obsidian, campfires, the firefly bush, and spore blossoms. The particles these blocks create help add movement to your world. You maybe won't notice from afar, but it will help create a sense of current and ongoing activity as you walk through an area. For example, campfires are commonly used to create smoke out of chimneys, which makes it seem like something is actually being burnt inside. Spore blossoms, while a little less practical, can make it feel like something is in the air or being blown by the wind, yet again creating that sense that the world around you is a living, breathing environment. And the other ways you can integrate some more movement into your builds, which I'll only mention briefly, is through items like banners, which can often be seen swaying back and forth, which makes it appear as if they're being blown by the wind. I also can't talk about movement without mentioning redstone, as this is how you can add the most movement to your world. It can just be a much more difficult process. Whether it's having minecarts moving back and forth to create a contraption as complicated as something along the likes of Mumbo Jumbo, redstone really just opens up a ton of experimentation for adding moving components to your world. You know what else would open up a ton for your world is hitting that subscribe button so you never miss out on another Forever World video just like this one. And if you have enjoyed this video or found it helpful whatsoever so far, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps me out a lot and is completely free, so thank you. Now the next component of making your builds feel alive is pretty straightforward, so I'm going to go over it really quick, and it's literally just using mobs. Mobs are a pretty obvious addition to making a build or area feel lived in, as they are the only way to actually add other moving entities to an area. This literally puts some life into your builds and takes your village from a ghost town to a bustling community. Doing this isn't too complicated either, it just might be a little time consuming. You can do things like moving villagers into your builds to have them occupy different shops and houses. You can get a bunch of pets and have them sitting around your world. You can build some iron golems. Even something as simple as adding cattle and sheep to your barn brings the build to life. Another mob you could use is copper golems. I've seen people use copper golems in a bunch of different creative ways to populate their builds, with my favorite having a copper golem as a bartender, sorting different bottles from its copper chest to a bunch of barrels. I think this is super cool, and I want to make this exact thing in my world very soon. This component is really quite simple, as it just involves populating spaces with other living entities, so it doesn't feel like you're the only living existing thing in your world. Now moving on to a component that stays in one place, we have to discuss detailing. Most players know what it means to detail a build and likely already do it in their own world. However, there are specific ways you can detail to invoke a greater sense of life. A prime example of this is how you would light your builds. Instead of just using torches to light everything up, you should use the variety of other light sources in the game to create different light levels while still preventing mobs from spawning. This sets different vibes in different builds, which just helps build immersion instead of having everything be overlit and bright constantly. For example, if you want your house to feel cozy, try using candles to light up certain rooms along with campfires for a fireplace. If you want a cooler street lamp look, you can use frog lights or sea lanterns. And it's also important to note that you can use multiple different types of light sources in a build, like I mentioned with candles and a fireplace, to have certain areas feel more lit up than others. And for the exteriors, using glow lichen is a great way to light up exteriors without having to see torches everywhere, as glow lichen is pretty hard to spot, and it just blends into the ground pretty well. All of these effects will be even greater if you're playing with shaders or vibrant visuals turned on as well, so if you can, I would highly recommend doing so. Detailing also includes how you interconnect your builds, as while you can have a bunch of highly detailed houses, they won't feel like a village if you don't make an effort to connect them and fill in the spaces between. You can build paths to create a sense of infrastructure, you can terraform areas to make the surrounding terrain more fitting around the build and just overall more aesthetically pleasing, and something I highly recommend doing is integrating just a ton of plant life into areas around your builds, whether it's little garden beds to little flower patches or even trees which also have the ambient falling leaves. It's just a great simple way to make your world feel like there's more life. And if you want to bring your forever world to life, you have to focus on more than just big builds themselves and treat the areas between with just as much effort to create a world that's immersive and, like I've been saying, not just a display piece. And that brings me to the last major component of bringing your world to life, and that's how you actually approach building. This component goes hand in hand with detailing and honestly could just be considered detailing, but it basically means that your build can provide areas with different feelings based on aspects like spacing, aging, and interactivity. See, aging your builds with moss and mossy cobblestone or building things like old castle ruins in between your builds makes it feel like your world has existed for a long time. This helps your world actually tell a story just through some basic additions. You can also manipulate things like spacing between builds, making areas larger to feel more grand, or making areas smaller to feel tighter, darker, and creepier for builds like alleyways. Having things not just in a straight grid is a great way to actually make the areas in your world just a little more interesting and fun to explore. And the best way to use builds to make your world feel more alive is through interactivity. Whether it's redstone minigames you can actually play, minecart tracks taking you from one location to the next, redstone doors that open with the press of a button, or even something as simple as slime block trampolines. And soon, with the addition of the slime cube, stuff like this is going to be more possible than ever. You could literally make basketball courts or soccer fields that you will actually be able to play due to the slime cube. I'm super excited to see this mob come out. I know a lot of people are very skeptical or not a big fan of it, but for creative purposes and forever world purposes, I'm telling you, this is going to be a game-changing feature. Making builds that you can actually play around with while simply just walking around your world, yet again, makes your world an actual fun place to spend time in with actual things for you to do. Making your forever world feel more alive isn't hard, it's just knowing how that can be difficult. But I promise you, applying even just a few of these components to your own world will do wonders for taking your world from a display piece to a world that feels immersive and a place that actually feels lived in. Now guys, if you did enjoy this video, do me the favor of liking this video, and if you really enjoyed the video, subscribe so you never miss out on another video just like this one. I go over a bunch of forever world content, so you're not going to want to miss it. It's completely free and helps me out quite a bit, so thank you. I do also now have a Discord server, so if you'd like the chance to chat with me, I'll leave a link in the description and pinned comment below. Another quick side note guys, is if you have any questions or topics you'd like to see me discuss in a future video, please leave a comment down below about it. I'm trying to answer all of your guys' questions and help you guys out as much as possible and give you the type of content you want to see, so any and all ideas are very welcome. But that is it for today guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.